Hello there. I just thought I'd give you a quick games tour or games console tour. This is a nice selection, or my selection, of most of the consoles that I have. So I'm just going to go straight into it. Starting off at the top up here, you've got the Master System 2. I've been playing Lemmings on it recently. This is a nice little 8-bit console. It's nice, simple. There's nothing much to it. It's quite compact, quite small. It's just a simple console, really. It's very nice. This is outputting through RF, and I bought this console not too long ago, actually, maybe 2 or 3 years. But it's just a Sega console. It's definitely worth having. Moving straight across, I've got the Mega Drive 2 with the Mega CD 2. Big hurrah, managed to get the Mega Drive 2 to actually work properly. It turns out that the third-party power supply that I was using just wasn't giving the right voltage or wattage, or it was not giving the console what it really needed, so I was getting some weird sort of tracking lines or scan lines across it, which was quite annoying. However, I've got it outputting now. It's outputting fantastically. It's very crisp, very clear, and the reason it's crisp and clear is because I'm using an RGB SCART lead. Everything works. I mean, I've got a separate output from the Mega CD to the surround sound, so I can use it. If I select that output on the surround sound, I can have it in stereo as well, which is always good. And I've got boxes for both of these and the Mega Drive 1, which is always nice to have. Quickly moving along, I've got the Nintendo 64. Basically, this is the first console I had brand new. The Mega Drive 1 that I've still got from this one, which is sat in the box at the moment, was the first console I ever had. I did buy an entire Mega Drive with box, and the Mega Drive that's in there was mint. Even had the little plastic catch down the side where the CD connects in. That didn't fit mine, unfortunately, not well enough. So I'm selling the mint one and keeping my one, even though mine's a little bit worn, just because it's got sentimental value. The Nintendo 64 has it as well. I've got another one of these that I'm selling. There's no real difference apart from the other one doesn't have a catch or power supply or controllers. This one has got the expansion pack in it. The idea behind that is, well, why wouldn't you? Moving along, I've got the Super Nintendo. This is a console I bought of a friend of mine after trying to find one. I actually bought a boxed one on eBay, and then after I bought that, I went and bought the Super Scope 6 boxed. Now the Super Scope 6 turned up, the Mega Drive, Super Nintendo didn't, so I got a refund on that, thankfully, and I was able to source one from a friend of mine who, I had to go pick it up, but that's never an issue. Moving down to the next level, I've got the Xbox 360, which doesn't get used a huge amount. Basically, I'm not very fond of Microsoft consoles. This is why I've only got this one. It's also why I've started moving towards sort of Mac computers, because they do everything so much better. And Windows, everything from 8 onwards is just absolutely horrible, in my opinion. Underneath there you got Skybox. It never gets used anymore. The reason will become apparent in a minute. You've got Monkey, PT Tips Monkey, holding up the Bluetooth headset for the PlayStation 3, which very rarely gets used. I've got a Turtle Beach one, which I do prefer to use, and I don't often go online. In fact, the only reason this has been on recently is because I've been playing Gran Turismo 6. I've got this, which is a nice tiny little thing, Roku 3. It's fantastic. I've got a media server which has got all my DVDs on there. And basically, it's just I can just browse all my DVDs on this, play them straight through the TV in the highest format they were recorded in, which is fantastic. I've got TV shows on there, films. I've even got camera upload working to a point. It's not something I use much. So basically anything I take on my phone, it uploads it to the server, which I guess iCloud could do, but whoever trusts them any these days. You got the PlayStation 3 next. This is a console that I bought originally when it first came out, and unfortunately, after 3 or 4 years, it died. Thankfully, though, I'd kept up with all the payments, so I took it back to the place I bought it from. They took it for repair. I got it back and took it back to the store the same day because it was just not working. It was lagging. They sent it off again for another week. I had a friend of mine that worked in fact I used to work there, but a couple of people I know still work there, and I got a text in the middle of the day saying, "Have you got your code yet?" Basically they had said just discount one of these down completely, which is a shame because the one I had before was the first generation that had the card readers down the side of it. It had the 4 USB ports, and it was completely backwards compatible. It's something I might look at getting a second-hand one from somewhere. Underneath there I've got my surround sound, which is a piece of crap. I mean, it does the job. It's got like iPod connectivity, but I never listen to my iPod through there anyway, so there's no point. I'd rather have a sound bar, but yeah, beggars can't be choosers. Moving down to the bottom, I've got the PlayStation 2. Now this PlayStation 2, whilst I say it hasn't been modded, it is running through FreeMcBoot. So the memory card that's in here has got FreeMcBoot loaded onto it, again by another friend of mine. He installed it on me, and in fact I've got a memory stick down here which has got a small collection, not a huge amount, but a small collection of Mega Drive and Super Nintendo games on there that I can play through the system. The Mega Drive games don't work that well. The Super Nintendo ones work okay, but the main reason I wanted FreeMcBoot, I for some reason had, I think I got it for another friend of mine, the broadband adapter, which allows me to plug in, and in fact just underneath here where the vents are, there's usually a big empty space there. I've got a 160GB IDE hard drive in there, so I can rip my games. In fact, the copy I've got of it allows me to rip games directly through the console onto this system. What's good about that is purely that I don't need to worry about finding discs for it. They're all there. I have got wireless controllers for these. Hasn't been used in a while. Those controllers are very cheap, very tacky. I do prefer the original PlayStation ones, but space is a premium, really. I've still got a few more consoles to get out. Don't know how I'm going to do that. Anywho, moving along, I've got the Sega Dreamcast, which is actually a fantastic console. The output signal is fantastic. The games are great. The controller is very comfortable to hold. The fact that it still uses, just simple discs, it was the first one to be listed, or last one to be listed with bits, I think. But it was a downfall, and Sega dropped it way too early. But it is a great console. In fact, I've got Tony Hawk's skateboarding on this, as well as the PlayStation 1, and the quality of this is so far above it. Even with PlayStation 1 smoothing on the PlayStation 3 when I had the backwards compatibility, this is way better. Definitely worth getting on these consoles. Moving along again, I've got the GameCube, Nintendo's GameCube. No one really seems to know what it was. It's fine, really. It's an alright console. I haven't played much on it. In fact, I don't really have any games for it. I haven't even got a memory card for it. It's a fairly recent buy, and it works well, but I haven't really got anything for it. Moving along, I've got the Nintendo Entertainment System. Fantastic console. No games in there, that's good. I have got the Duck Hunt game with it. You kind of have to, really. I love playing it. This one's outputting actually through the side. There's two bits on the side, coax on the side. You got most of these. This is actually for a Nintendo. So you got two of these on the side of this. I plugged in a 3-1 just to so it's in the back of the TV.
It's a much better output than the RF. The RF is absolutely appalling. This uses the RF, which is a Atari 2600 Junior. This particular one at the moment is in pieces because the RF unit has died in it. At least I think that's what it's died in it. It's not outputting a signal at all. It still turns on, and the game is still fitting there. I don't actually have a controller for this. In fact, this is what I got given this, just the console. I bought a power supply for it, and it did work for a while, but it was very temperamental. The RF lead at the back had been pulled off at some point, and I was just kind of rattling around with here, so I resoldered that on, but it's not a good fix. It's not as it should be. So I'm basically looking to get a kit or to mod it to as best I can, really, which I believe composite outputs the best. So I'm going to try for that.